Hey everyone! Welcome to Be the Change. My name is Lily Mott, and today I'm going to be talking about how change comes when you ask yourself, if not me, then who? My guest this week is Selin Ozunaldim, and she is a gender equality activist as well as the founder of a few organizations based in her home country of Turkey. I enjoyed this conversation with Selin, and I'm excited to share it with you. So, without further ado, let's get started with this episode featuring Selin Ozunaldim.
Hello, I'm Selin. I'm a 20-year-old gender equality activist based in Istanbul, Turkey. I study international relations at Bilkent University in Turkey. I am working with UN Women and multiple UN agencies on different projects with a special focus on SDG 4 and 5, which are equal access to education, quality education, and global gender equality. I'm the founder of a couple of organizations. Like two of them would be Girl Up Istanbul and Girls Who Code Turkey. I'm also working with UNICEF and UNDP.
I am a big fan of Girl Up, and I've gotten to talk with a few Girl Up teen advisors and club leaders on this podcast, so I'm definitely excited to hear more about your work as well. Can you tell me more about what got you started with this work? What inspired you to become a gender equality activist?
I haven't mentioned this before, like in this podcast, but I'm the founder of the first He for She club amongst high schools in Turkey. And basically, how that started was I was, very much interested in issues like gender equality and gender roles and norms and social constructs since I was a child. But sometimes you need just one spark to get you going. And for me, that was when my back then probably like 6 or 7 year old brother told me that because we were at a dinner and we were talking about future and college, etc. And he said, you know what, you don't have to worry too much about it, you don't have to stress too much, because even if you cannot get into a good university or cannot get into a well-paid job, you could always get married. Like girls, women have that option, but for us, for men, that is not it. We have to be the breadwinners of the family. We don't have another option. And that was the first time that I truly saw why like we needed feminism so much, because I never realized how that thought structure could impact you as a child, and these children will be the leaders of tomorrow. So I thought, okay, we need to do something to change this. And I went to my principals at high school and talked to them about the things that we could do. And I thought we already had he for she clubs, active he for she clubs amongst high schools. However, after talking with our principal, I realized that that was not the case. In fact, there weren't any active clubs around Turkey. So I said, you know what? If you want something to be changed, you have to be the one who changes it. And if not me, then who? If not now, then when? Which is actually He for She's slogan. And I started the first He for She club in my high school. And I went to a high school that has very like so many different campuses around almost every city in Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. So when other campuses and other principals, other teachers from different cities saw the movement and the impact we were creating, they wanted to get involved as well. So they started reaching out to me. So in a couple of months, I was traveling to different cities or doing like things over Zoom online, just basically introducing everyone to the movement and the things that they could do to create change, how they could start a He for She club, etc. And afterwards, it's was like a snowball effect, as we say in Turkish. So after a while, I guess I like UN Women saw me on social media, I guess, I don't know. And UN Women Turkey reached out to me, and they asked me to be kind of their like representative. And I have been with them ever since, I guess.
That is such a great snowball effect. And it's so exciting that you've gotten to have so many opportunities with so many different organizations. And I'm sure you've met so many people since that point. So, you mentioned this story about your brother and how it's such an accepted path and maybe sort of an expectation for women to get married. And I would love to know more about your life in Turkey. Can you tell me more about what gender equality is like in Turkey and in your community, specifically for you and for other young women?
Of course. So I feel like, yeah, of course, we have been always like aware of the things going around our country. However, it was until that I really started my activism, I started realizing, oh, this is like much bigger of an issue that we ever realized, you know? And after again being involved, I started doing more research and be just try to be more aware of the things that we were, you know, saying and how we were saying them and how we were acting, like the news, the politics, etc. And I remember one like aha moment for me was I was like doing a research about our language, and I realized that when we look at our like I guess they're called proverbs, when I was like doing a research about our language, I saw how um, gender inequality was, you know, very much real in our language, especially in our proverbs. For example, there is a proverb that goes like, "The male dog wouldn't do anything if the female dog didn't shake her tail." Which is basically, you know, justifying harassment and abuse. It's saying that because a woman did something, the man must have been harassing her, which is not the case. Or if this is like something for the fathers, unfortunately, the father who doesn't like he who doesn't beat his daughter beats his knee, which is again like justifying or paving the way for parents, especially fathers, to beat their daughters. And there are again like so many proverbs that are just targeted against women and just justify gender inequality. However, when I try to look up for words or like proverbs or bad things targeted against men, there weren't any. In fact, most of the things that we say to praise each other in Turkish are for men. Like if you are courageous, if you did something good, all of the proverbs to congratulate that person starts with a he or like a man. So you can that was the moment that I realized, oh, like something is different, and it is so normalized. It is just within, it's in us, you know, at this point that we don't even realize it, and we don't realize the danger. And of course, like watching the news, a couple of summers ago, there was this black and white challenge on social media. It went viral within a day, if I'm not mistaken, which was initially about, many people still don't know this, but it was started by Turkish women. And we started, you know, taking our pictures and putting a black and white filter on and posting them on our social medias. Like in a in just a couple of days it turned into this movement, women supporting women, etc., like which is obviously incredible. But what we were trying to do was, on the news, whenever a femicide happens, the news anchors or like the newspapers and like on social media, we see the photos of these women with a black and white filter on. And it was about how, because femicides are so unfortunately normalized and in our daily lives at this point, that we, like any of us, could end up in one of those black and white filtered Instagram posts or newspapers. So that was how the movement started, but quickly turned into something about like solely only about women supporting women. I think just seeing these examples really enhanced that within me, like it just fueled me, I guess, to do the work I'm doing right now, because someone has to take the lead. Someone has to do something. And as much as I'm involved in these organizations and movements, I realize that I'm not alone. There are like literally thousands of young women, adolescents, women from different like older generations who are working towards creating meaningful and sustainable change and achieve like real concrete gender equality in our country and in global, I would say.
That's so interesting, and thank you for sharing about the black and white photo challenge as well. I remember that happening, but I didn't know the origin of it, so I'm so glad that you shared that. So I would love for you to tell me more about the work you're doing with all of these organizations. Can you tell me about what you're doing to make change in Turkey and then, of course, around the world as well?
Of course. So, as I have previously mentioned, it started with he for she, and I am still an he for she advocate. So, I'm trying to be as involved as I can with that. I am also a national gender youth activist for UN Women. And, like, at its core, national gender youth activists are 300 activists from all across the globe who were nominated by UN Women country offices to work collectively with UN Women, like both country and regional, and especially with the HQ, with the global UN Women offices, to bring our like the voices of youth, the ideas, the demands and needs and work of youth within in our community into the global space and create change and just enhance youth involvement and the things that we're doing to create change. Like these 300 activists are working towards equal access to education, gender equality, sustainable cities and climate action, etc. So it is very interesting to see how like 300 people seeming like we don't have something in common, but we have the most important thing, which is a drive to creating change. And it's been, I feel like 2 or 3 years. It's just the most amazing team. I'm also a member of the Global Feminist Coalition for Gender Transformative Education, which is hosted by United Nations Girls Education Initiative in collaboration with UNICEF. So, with this organization, we're especially working towards quality education and equal access to education. Uh, Obviously, I'm very passionate about having girls in the classroom and just making sure that they are in the process and they are going to high school and then university, because these are stuff that we take so granted for. Just working with Anga made me realize how we are still behind, how there are still so many like hundreds and thousands of young girls who are not allowed to go to school. And the numbers that we see on reports are actual human beings. So just working with Angai was a real eye opener for me. I'm also working with UNICEF on as like a member of Youth for Gender organization. It is like I would say an advisory board for UNICEF, and what we do is again youth involvement in any way we can, especially within that advisory board. I'm mostly involved in Istanbul Convention and ending harassment and violence against women and girls. And with Girl Up, which is a very interesting story in my life. So again, as much as I was involved with these different organizations and this movement, I realized how the gender bias it still does exist. We always talk about sisterhood and just lifting each other up, but we don't really see that in our day-to-day lives, unfortunately. It is, through movies and songs and TV shows and books that these stereotypes are just being reinforced, I would say. And Girl Up is an organization started by United Nations Foundation, which is at its core about enhancing the power and skills of young girls and adults and girls, and just making sure that they reach that inner power and just be their best self. And I thought that was a very empowering thing. And I reached out to them. Again, there weren't any active girl love clubs in Turkey. So I said, you know what? We did it with he for she. Why not do it right now again? And with the United Nations Foundation support, I brought Girl Up to Turkey and just founded the first club. But now there are so many. I don't know the exact number, but I see them like popping up on Instagram on my For You page, or in your contacts page, seeing that there are so many different Girl Up clubs all across Turkey in different cities doing incredible work. So I'm always, so amazed by the impact that we can create if we take initiative. And with Girls to Code, so I was in a robotics club, in a robotics club in high school, and our like robotics club was very good at what they were doing. They were attending to competitions and contests, and they were just getting every award, and they were winning. They were incredible. But I saw how there was a gender bias there as well. When we examined the team, most of the engineers who were building the robots were formed of guys, and the PR team was mostly girls. And when I reached out to our robotics team and said, "Hey, why don't we like change this? Why is it like that? You guys are so good at what you're doing. Like I would think that many people would want to join." And basically what they said was girls were feeling and the guys from like the engineer side of the team told me, which was very interesting, that they were actually inviting girls to be on the coding side, but girls were not interested simply because they were afraid of the bias and the stigma, just not feeling good enough about their coding skills, etc. So with their support, we brought Girls Who Code movement to Turkey, which is about teaching young girls how to code and how to be the scientists of tomorrow, basically. And for a year, sorry, for like 2 years, and now it is still continuing. And we actually partnered up with one of the municipalities in Turkey as well, to expand our reach. We hosted workshops and seminars and forums just to teach coding and show young girls what it could look like to be a scientist, and just spark an interest in robotics and STEM field.
That's so exciting, and you have so much going on with all of these different organizations, and I think it's great. So, I have one more question for you. Lots of young people want to create change, but they may not know how to get started with that work. Do you have any advice for those people who may be listening?
Yes, for sure. I actually get that question a lot from individuals in general. I would say, just especially in the 21st century, there's no such thing as, oh, I want to do something, but I just can't do it. Dude, you can do literally anything. We can start like movements that change politics, change the law on social media. We can start these things on social media at this point. So, like any tool you can use to create change, just take that as an opportunity and use that tool. I would say the first thing you should do is just, you can't say, oh, I want to work about like anything and everything, just climate and education and sustainability and this and that. You have to, if you like, you have to focus on one topic, I would say at first at least, and just figure out what you are the most passionate about. And like again, you can discover this through researching and reading and just talking with other people. And after you do that, please reach out to, especially I would say, local organizations, grassroots organizations. They are the ones creating the most change, trust me. Not like a massive corporation and just these fancy big organizations. No, but the people who are working on the ground, on the field, are the ones who know the most, who know the like probably the best, and just creating the most real change. Like, just hats off. I would say reaching out to those kind of organizations, and then obviously you can go to global ones. There are civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations. Very, I'm always very vocal about supporting youth-led movements and youth-led organizations. And I feel like trying to, after a while, trying to get in touch with press to talk about these things and raise awareness, create awareness. And again, just if, for example, if you are someone who's passionate about writing, you can set up a blog and write about the things you want to talk about, right? Or if you like social media, you can create reels and TikToks to talk about these things and create change. I actually got this question once saying, "Oh, people in your age just take record and post TikToks all day long, but you are doing this and that." No, that this is like such a silly thing to say. I think using TikTok as a tool to just say what you have to say, like speak about your demands and needs and ideas is an incredible tool. You could like literally reach millions of people within minutes from all across the globe. So again, like if you see an opportunity, take it. And if you want to start your own organization or your own movement, go for it. I know it can be incredibly scary from time to time, and you will probably, let me like say this straight. You're probably not going to make it the first time you try it. So many people don't realize this, but with Girl Up Istanbul, we failed 3 times before like building for the fourth and final time. And that is okay. That is the process, and you need to trust the process. And whenever you feel like you're not enough, you are not going to be able to do it, just look at people around you, look at the people who can inspire you. I feel like role models can be such a strong tools to empower yourself, from people from flesh and blood. Just seeing them is a very inspiring and empowering way. And just again, redirect your focus and strength to the things that made you wanted to do this in the first place. And like any time or anywhere you want, we are with you. You're not walking on this road alone. Not a chance. We got you. Yeah, we got you.
I really enjoyed this conversation with Selin, and I think it was really inspiring to see her motivation to keep fighting for gender equality in Turkey and around the world. She recognized that no one else was going to do this work, so she stepped up to be the change she wanted to see in her country. I think Selin's story is a great example of how change comes when you ask yourself, if not me, then who? Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and you can find Selin on Instagram at Selin Ozunaldim to get connected with her. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at bethechangepodcast. Tune in for my next episode, but until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys.